Okay, we are live. Thank you for joining us, Modi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank God. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have you. Really,
Uh,
such a zechut for us. Do you remember when you performed with MGE a couple of years ago? Do you remember that big night?
it was upstairs, all the way upstairs, right? It was a fun evening, yeah.
It was the 10th floor. You were awesome.
Right, the 10th floor of that synagogue, yeah.
The Jewish Center, exactly. Well, I want to thank our good friend Alan Zeitlin for bringing us together and helping to arrange this. I'm a huge lover of comedy, and there are comedians who make you laugh a little, and then there's Modi, who makes you laugh a lot. I really find you hysterical, and I can tell all of you, our listeners, thank you all for joining into the Wildscast with our very wonderful guest today, Modi, the comedian. And I can tell you firsthand that you tore the house down at MGE, probably about 5 years ago when you performed. And I just want to tell everyone that you can check out Modi Rosenfeld's virtual comedy show this Thursday night at 6 p.m.
No, it's at 9 p.m. 6 p.m. is because
really?
it's the company Rushtix, which is the platform it's on, they're in LA. So it's LA, but New York time. I would never do anything for New York time that's on 6 p.m. Nobody would watch it. It's on Rushtix, RUSHTIX.
Yes, I have it right here. RUSHTIX.
Yeah, it's a virtual show. And they're still going on since, I mean, the comedy's been up. I've been doing shows at Stand Up New York, at different private events, different organizations. Passover program was were hot this year, but there's still. I don't think the virtual stuff is going away so fast.
Interesting. So what's it like finally being able to perform in clubs again?
I mean, it's fun. It really gives you hope. It shows you that the world's coming back. The comedy clubs are open. They're, even though 50%, but they're still. It just gives you hope. It lets you know that the end is in sight to this craziness. Are you there? It's like you froze a little bit.
Let me just make sure. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Okay. Modi, tell us where you're from. Give us a little of your background and, what inspired you to become a comedian?
I'm born in Israel, came here when I was 7 years old, we lived in the 5 towns. And then I went to school in Boston University. Then I went and I worked at investment banking for Merrill Lynch, where I used to imitate all the secretaries. And my friend said, you should be doing this on stage. And then he set me up on a night to do stand-up in New York, at Stand-Up New York, to do my first comedy set. I had no desire to be a comic, but it went so well. And the owner back then said, you should come back and do it again. And since then, it became my thing. It's what I do. And eventually I left investment banking to do comedy full time.
So that's fascinating. So you didn't have this like dream and this vision. I want to be this great Jewish comedian, the next Jackie Mason, or whoever you're looking up to. This was something that just sort of, and you were in investment banking, like a nice Jewish boy.
Yeah, I was. I'd never even thought. My first time at a comedy club was the first time I was going to go on.
Really?
So, yeah.
What was that like? Just
it was there was no pressure because I didn't care. I was doing it as a favor to a friend. So that was how that began. So it was a while back.
And do you get butterflies in your stomach ever before you go on and perform?
No, the only things that makes you nervous is when you're is it the sound and the lighting and all of that kind of stuff, or if they have food out, because doing like the Jewish events and things of that sort, there's always food, but that gets in the way. That's what makes me nervous. The performance itself does not, but the setup, the sound. Is it a good sound system? Did they have it? Do they have me in the right slot for doing it? Are people in the right focus? Is the room set up properly? That's what makes me a little nervous, but the comedy stuff does not make me nervous.
That's interesting. I have I'm a little the same way. I fret over those little details. If I'm performing a wedding or I'm giving a sermon or drush on Shabbat, I'm also like, is there a lot of noise? Is some kid mushing around the plastic bag?
Right.
Those little, when did you think you had enough of the goods to be a great comedian, to leave, to leave the world of finance?
It was a slow. I was trying to leave for a while, and they kept keeping me in. And then I finally was able to I broke off because I wanted to go. I had a whole bunch of shows lined up, and I wanted to do them. And then, you take that leap of faith, and you leave the world of your comfort and finance and all. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you ever make a conscious decision not to resort to foul language? I mean, I watch a lot of comedians. I love comedy. It's my breaks from my work. I put on, and it's just hard finding good comedians who don't, every third word is a 4-letter word. Was that like an intentional decision, or you just never felt you needed to resort to that? Is it a Jewish thing?
I was doing comedy. I was at the comedy clubs where you almost expected to curse. But I was also performing a lot for at Jewish events. So right away, I went from I did the comedy clubs, and then at the same time doing Jewish events. And when you're standing at a Jewish event and people are sitting there, and that they don't want to hear it, why would you do it?
Right.
And I never needed it. I really just didn't. I just didn't resort to using those 4-letter words. It wasn't, necessary.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think that's it's this is a compliment to you, Moti, because even if it wasn't for moral reasons, but you didn't feel you needed it, that shows something about the substance of what you're delivering. Because I think it's a little of a crutch. Tell me what comedians were your role models growing up? Who did you look up to?
Old school comedians. I used to love watching anything Alan King did. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah, of course I know Alan King. Sure.
I loved his comedic timing. His timing was amazing. The way he told the story. I love George Carlin.
Oh, great! Yeah.
One of the greats. And I love, obviously in a different genre of more like the insult comedy, Don Rickles.
Yeah.
But basically those old guys, I used to, before YouTube, I used to go to the Museum of Television and Film and watch clips. Back then there was no YouTube, so I'd have to go slot a time and go and watch their clips on that. And it was amazing. It was just for the timing of how to set the joke up, they were great to watch.
And was there any kind of, there's this beautiful passage in the Talmud. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You as a comedian, you should be aware of it. I can find you the actual page, but it's got two great rabbis walking in the shuk in the marketplace, and one turns to the other and says that person over there is a ben olam haba, is a person who's for sure going to get into the world to come. Do you know this? And he asks the other one, what does he do?
Right.
What does he do?
This is every time I do a really religious event, this is what they introduce me with.
Okay.
I know in your mind, you thought you were going to blow my brain out. Oh, I'm going to tell Moti about this, that. I have it printed on my wall, to be honest with you.
Okay. So. All right. So at least for the sake of 2 or 3 of our viewers who don't know this passage in the Gemara, the other rabbi turns to the one who points to this random person and says, he's a court jester. He's a comedian. He makes people laugh. Do you feel? I mean, does that motivate you? Is it just an ego thing? I want to get into a little of the kishkas psychologically.
First of all, it's not. You have it backwards. There were 2 comedians there and 1 rabbi, and Eliyahu Hanavi was in the shukra, and they asked who here has the world to come. He said, "There's 2 guys over there," and he went to ask them, "What do you do?" And they said,
right.
Anu anshe bediche. We are men of bediche, jokes, inami, and we make people happy. And we also people who, when there's a feud through comedy, we make things we bring peace to it. And so, I mean, I'm not banking on this stuff. It's nice to know that it's in the background. It's in the deposit box. But I still have to go make a living and do events. And but it's it's inspiring to know that.
It's inspiring to know that, but does it have anything to do with keeps you in the game?
Yeah, it's definitely a calling. It's definitely a calling, and I feel it's. I'm helping people, especially during the pandemic. I mean, when I began to do shows online and do the Instagram stuff, and I saw that people was helping people. They're letting me know because I'd never been that much on social media. I was a performing comedian. I wasn't like just podcasting and all of that stuff. And then I began to do all that, and that's when you really see that it makes a difference.
100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, I saw you on a couple of also private family, smachot, happy occasions. I mean, was it tough to make jokes online when people were, like in the thick of COVID, when so many people were dying?
And that was the easiest time because they were, they were focused on they were home. They were watching their computers. They were looking for an escape from all the stuff that was happening. People wanted to find something to talk about besides the corona. So
right, but could you make jokes about? Did you make? I mean,
yeah, I did. I still do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anywhere you won't go? Is there like some taboo, something you've been, I don't know, booed off stage? You think you're going to get canceled? I don't know. I'm just curious. Is there any, or is it just because
it's not the topic? It's the way you approach it. So right. It's you have to approach it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there really isn't a topic I won't. As long as I can make a joke out of it. Yeah.
Right. Right. Is there anything in particular comes to mind? Something that's like, because we're living in a culture today where, we can't talk about certain things. Obviously, I have the same thing when I prepare a drasha, sermon, whatever it is. I want to touch on touchy subjects, but it has to be done in the right way. What is the right way for a comedian?
Well, it has to be funny. You obviously can't show one-sidedness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. As a rabbi, what topic do you want to talk about? What are you dying to talk about? What's your?
I mean, I have to stay away from politics. That's what I would imagine that's such a huge part of your routine. It
actually isn't. I actually don't do politics because it's fleeting. It's whatever the situation is fleeting. If there's a joke somewhere here and there, yes, I'll hit it. Usually, I'm in the middle. It shows me I don't take one side. I'm not like pro this or pro that. Just that happened. Let's joke about that. I don't push the politics on it, but
well, but you say you're not into politics, but don't you have this character Nir or Leoili who's running for president?
Yeah, that's his own politics. It's not Trump or Biden or anybody else. He's his own. He's in his own world. He wasn't pro anybody else. He was in his own world. He was
right.
Why would it had nothing to do with politics if you think about it.
Right.
It was just it was a guy that was just saying just be happy with whatever you do. So, I never was pro Trump or pro Biden on any of those things.
Right. Have you gotten any flack for that character, for Yoeli? Maybe tell
nothing but love and happiness I got for that character. Beautiful. Everybody loved it. Everybody enjoyed it. Obviously, you get crazy people like they have to. People just need to give you their input on it. What's amazing about social media is, before I was really on all the Twitters and all that, I would always hear about people fighting with other people on Twitter. They're having a Twitter war. They're going back and forth. There is this button called delete or block. I think it is it's the best invention we have in this century. Someone says, I don't know why you'd say this and this, and I block and delete. And thank you very much for shopping with us. And sei gesund.
What you also speak a lot about the differences between Ashkenazim and Sfardim. Can you remind us again a little what difference, and what's your background?
I'm Ashkenazi, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, 99.3%. I did the 23andMe, so I'm 99.3% Ashkenazi Jewish.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a routine, and every time I keep adding to it, I find something, I find different elements that people know, broad things, not specific things that that aren't funny, and so I do that, and people enjoy it, and it actually unites people rather than makes. Even though we're talking about a difference, it unites them.
Well, I was thinking about you because I just finished watching season 3 of Shtisel, and there's this great line. Well, I don't even know if it was done intentionally. The two. Did you watch Shtisel? Do you know?
No,
The show?
Go ahead.
So they got these two older brothers. They're both Hasidic guys. One of the things you were joking about is the difference between the way Sfardim and Ashkenazim make blessings. You just share that with everyone quickly. Do you mind? And then I'll share it with you.
I don't usually do my act on these podcasts. Okay. I have an act that's a podcast. Okay. Podcasts are for talking.
So that's fine. So one of the jokes you made was about how when a Sephardic rabbi gets called up to the chuppah and he does the bracha, and he does a whole thing even before he gets to the blessing, and then the blessing takes 10 minutes, and they call up the Ashkenazic Arura. So on Shtisel, they had, and one of my students pointed it out, one of the Hasidic guys, he takes a cup of water, he takes it and he says Bidvaro, and he drinks it. He didn't even bother. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'akol nihiyeh. He just went right to the last word, Bidvaro.
Right. I do that on stage sometimes for an Orthodox. I just pick up but before I take a sip of the barrel, I just go shahakol. I've been doing that for years.
Okay. Well, I thought about you because I don't know if that was done on purpose or not. You've got a little comedic chemistry with our friend Elon Goldberg. What's that about?
Oh, he's my buddy. He's a very close friend. He lives in LA. We were doing a lot of shows together before the pandemic. We were performing a lot together, and then he was out there. Then we both started doing online stuff, and he has the show The Bacher, something like the Bacher he has, and I do whatever I do, and but he's a very close friend of mine, and we always talk about different material and different shows and different gigs. He's a close friend.
Yeah, he's very talented. He also performed at MG many years ago. I think he's incredible. That's nice. People annoy you after your shows, try to impress you with their own jokes,
Once in a while, people come over. Once in a while, they give me a joke that's a killer. It's almost worth sifting through the garbage when that one guy gives you an amazing line.
Right.
Or some, and it's usually a throwaway. They're like, I don't know if you want to do this, but so it's I never turn somebody away when they're in the middle of. Sometimes someone just grabs you and has like a 9-hour joke. You have to say, look, I can't.
But, I have a wife and a family, right?
Right. Yeah,
that's cool. I also see here in your bio that you are on HBOs Crashing. What was that like?
Fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It's a show about a comedian that is trying to make it at the Comedy Cellar, which is the number one club in the city, and the episodes are fun episodes of him doing a synagogue gig, and he and I were doing it together, and it was fun. It was fun to play myself. I wasn't playing a character, and it was just a blast, and it was fun. I was flying home from Chicago, I think, and it was one of the episodes on the what you can watch on the TV. So that was actually even more fun. Yeah.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
And what is the you have you seem to have a good. I remember when you performed at MG, you had this like solid voice. Jackie Mason, I used to listen to him when I was a kid in the Borscht Belt. So, he also, I don't know if he was a chazan or You had a lot of family members that were rabbis. Do you have that in your family at all? Any other performers, so to speak, within the Jewish world?
Not really, no. My father has a very good sense of humor,
Uh-huh.
but he's not a performer. And the Chazanish stuff, I just very much enjoy cantorial singing, and I actually had a scholarship to the Bell School of Music
Oh,
in
sure.
Yeshiva University after I finished BU. So I
Mhm.
took advantage of it, and I learned the nusach and a little bit of singing and some training, and so it's more of a hobby that I do. And I,
Oh,
you know, at my synagogue, up till last year, I did the Kol Nidre services at the
oh,
Sixth Street Synagogue. Yeah.
oh, is that where you go?
Yep.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know your rabbi. He's awesome.
Bellino is amazing.
Yeah,
It's one of the it's on Sixth Street between First and
yeah,
Second. It is on fire. It's a young, cool place. Super orthodox, but super open to anybody that
yeah.
comes by. It was very cool.
We actually we got some funding years ago. We have MG has 3 sites in Manhattan: Upper West, Upper East, and Murray Hill. We got some funding to do some programming in East Village, and we did it out of the Sixth Street Shul before Rabbi Bellino was the rabbi.
Okay.
They always have interesting rabbis there. He played the flute. He was a klezmer.
Oh,
You know,
Wild, not Wild.
good
I
guy,
forgot. I
really
forgot
good
his
guy.
name. Yeah.
Also, yeah. But we did.
Bellino's been there for a long time now, and it's
Uh,
he really redid the physically and
oh wow.
spiritually, and also the people that are coming in now. It's like the coolest place in the downtown.
Oh, that's
Friday
interesting.
nights, it's packed full of all the students and all the young people that live in the area, and it's just
Hmm.
a blast over there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so nice to
Yeah.
hear. That has a lot of history. That place.
Wow. Yeah. A
That was
lot.
a church. The whole boat thing. Oh
The
yeah,
boat. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
totally. Wow, that's amazing. Anytime you want to jump in. We're doing this new format now. Our good friend Alan Zeitlin came up with this format. I'm going to ask my guests some questions. The guests can ask me some questions. So feel free if you want to jump in.
To ask you questions. What questions do you want me to ask you?
Well, they're on the sheet actually.
Oh, they're on the sheet. Okay. Is one of them? Is that the entire art scroll collection behind you? Is that one of the questions?
It's not. I can go
It's
through my
not.
library if you want. I think that would
Hold
be
on. Let
very
me see. He
informative.
sent the questions. Let's see if I fucking find them.
Oh, we just finished saying you don't use those words.
What?
Nothing. I'm just kidding.
What? What words?
Nothing. You were looking for the sheet.
What? I said. Let me see if I can find them.
Oh, it sounded like something else. I apologize.
Here we go. So, Rabbi Wild, I hear you made over 330 marriages through MJE. Have any gone bad? And one of them asked for their money back.
Okay, Modi,
How's
you're
that?
supposed to ask these questions as though you care about the answer and that you wrote them. You need a little coaching here.
A little coaching. Okay.
Yeah.
I just figured that's why I mean I just go for the natural. I don't know go what people send me. You're on top of that. So where's MJE?
So MJE we have 3 sites. The head I mentioned just a minute ago: West Side, East Side, downtown. The headquarters is where you performed about 5 years ago. We rent the 10th and 11th floors of the Jewish Center, which is a 100-year-old modern Orthodox synagogue on West 86th Street. And we're 22 years old, and we've got tons of young people coming. It's for 20s and 30s who don't have as much of a background in Judaism, want to learn more and be part of a community.
What if a 40-year-old comes?
We have a very strict screening process.
Yeah. So I guess a 50-year-old has no chance.
No.
That's very ageism. Isn't that ageist?
We've been accused of being ageist. Yes, that's correct. I mean,
but you're okay with it. You've owned up to it. You're like,
I'm totally comfortable with it. Being someone who's over 50 myself,
right.
I mean, listen, we don't kick anyone out, but the programs are geared for people in their 20s or 30s because we want to create we want to offer the opportunity for young men and women who are making those kind of life decisions, who to marry, what kind of lifestyle they want to have. Educationally, we have a lot of different ages. You know, I never kick anyone out of synagogue to pray or to learn. But when it comes to a retreat, a trip to Israel, a Shabbat dinner, it doesn't work for a 25-year-old to be sitting with a 60-year-old in terms of social interaction.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're right.
So I hope I've defended my policies properly.
I hope so. Either that, you'll get the hashtag cancel. You know, the hashtag. The 1 6-year-old that was going to come and write you a big check is like, no.
Well, a lot of people have said that to me. I shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah.
But it's not about the money. I didn't go into this for the money. I was also in a different profession.
What were you doing before this?
I was a lawyer. I practiced as an attorney.
And how'd that go?
Good. It went really well until I got sucked into this whole world. And at some point, I felt like the Jewish world could probably do without one more lawyer. But maybe if somebody was inspiring young people to take their Judaism a little more seriously, I thought that would be worthwhile. So the MJ was an experiment for the first year or two to see if I could bring out of the woodwork young Jewish men and women that weren't being engaged otherwise. And it just took off.
I was thinking about the rabbis like you that do these outreach, and I mean, what's the goal? Is the goal to get them to do as many mitzvahs as possible, or to what's the?
It depends on the person. It's a great question. It depends on the person. For some people, I think it is to do more mitzvot. It's to learn more Torah. It's to come closer to God through the traditional, venue. For other individuals for whom it's not their path, it's just to engage them Jewishly and get them in a community. We're just losing so many of our brothers and sisters because they're just not in the community, and they're not necessarily dating outside the Jewish faith because they've rejected Judaism. They philosophically don't agree with any of its tenets.
Right.
But they just are not in the chevra. They're not in the community, and they come once or twice a year, high holidays, maybe the Passover Seder, but it's not engaging enough to really stay in the Jewish community, and we're losing a lot of Jews for that reason. So I started the MJE, for two purposes: to inspire people in the ways of Torah and mitzvot, and for some, that's really the path. And for others who are maybe not in that place, maybe not yet, the goal is just to keep them to keep them.
Yeah, my thing with Judaism. I think whatever you do should be to make you a better person, not so much as to have a notch that you're doing this extra mitzvah from the Torah. So when you tell a guy completely religious, wake up in the morning and play with the water. Play 3 times on each hand. Now you've got that one. Check it off. You can tell your friend, I play with water every morning. You tell them this helps you connect to a pure part of you, and that might help you be a better person that day. Then, if you don't, leave the water alone. Leave the water alone. Go find something else that helps you become a better person. All the mitzvot, all the things that we do are all things that just help us become better people. If they don't, then it's a horrible thing. If you're doing it just to schwitz that you're doing more than I learn daf yomi every single day and you don't, I wake up 6 a.m, then you don't, then the whole thing is lost. The whole thing is hefker. But if you're getting up every morning to say, okay, this will help me be a better person, then it's worth it.
Listen, the fact that you're even articulating that demonstrates that we have presented Judaism in an inaccurate way. The whole point of Torah and mitzvot are not for the Torah and the mitzvot themselves. They're just a means towards a greater end of perfecting ourselves, of being better people. Now, we believe we become better if we get closer to God, but you're right, 100%. It's not about checking some list off. I did this, I did that. It's about becoming better, and that's why our job, any really rabbi's job, but our job in particular, is to demonstrate the beauty and how these things can actually impact us in a profound manner to make us different. Or else why bother?
Right.
Leave the water alone, as you say.
Yeah, we're playing with the water for if you know do what you're doing with it. Yeah. It's so I mean, it's just you have to the person that you're reaching for. You just have to find the part of them that wants to be a better person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
100%. I mean, unfortunately, not enough of our Jewish brothers and sisters have been raised with looking at Judaism as really a path for greater happiness, greater meaning, greater purpose. It is unfortunately I don't know who's fun. I don't want to point fingers, but for whatever reason, it's just seen in a very kind of like, it's tradition. This is what you do. If you're a good Jew, you do A, B, and C. But no one's really taken the time to explain why these things are significant, how these things can impact your life. I'm not here to plug my book, but I wrote a book on this called Beyond the Instant, trying to demonstrate how some of the basic Jewish ideas and practices are designed to get us into a happier, more spiritually oriented place. And I'll tell you, if we don't make the case for Judaism, young Jews are going to look for it elsewhere because everyone's looking for that. And if maybe they'll find it in literature, maybe they'll find it in music, maybe they'll find it in some other religion. But I do believe that it's one of the reasons I left law to do this, because it was killing me how many young men and women, successful, well-educated professionals, just sort of opted out for no other reason than they found zero purpose and meaning in this. So that's really what I've devoted my life to. And, I think to a large degree it's working. We have, thank God, I mean, before COVID, we were having, thousands, tens of thousands of people coming through our doors over the years, and a lot of people sticking.
It's great. Yeah.
And it's I'll tell you, you're a proud Jew, and I love that you're connected to the Sixth Street Shul, because I know Rabbi Bellino, and I just, they're not enough. There's so many successful comedians, performers, musicians, artists who are Jewish, and I don't think they have necessarily an axe to grind. They're not with Judaism. I don't think they're anti, but they're just so removed that Judaism looks like it's not that attractive. Like, if not, then why wouldn't all the Jerry Seinfelds of the world be so connected Jewishly? And he is somewhat connected Jewishly, but I don't know. There's a lot,
I mean, I don't know Jerry Seinfeld's Jewish connection. He might be super connected. Just because he's not wearing a tallis and tefillin and walking around, with a hat, and doesn't mean he's not connected.
No,
that's all,
No, but in terms of being, one of the things that I love Seinfeld. I'm a huge Seinfeld of his own work and the show.
Right.
But every single time there was someone portraying someone Jewish on the show, they were either a nebuch. Did you watch Seinfeld? Do you remember the bris?
I remember.
Show? Yeah. You remember the bris show, and the rabbi is hitting on this, and the Jewish people in a lot of shows, not just Seinfeld, are always seen as dating non-Jews, and there is almost this implication that like they're better looking, they're better this, they're better that, and I just love when I see a positive, person out there, whatever they do. They could be a lawyer, a doctor, comedian, musician, and they're proud to be Jewish, and they don't give this kind of like, kind of kvetchy, Woody Allen-ish.
Right.
I think we have a little too much of that.
Yeah, it's the easy laugh. It's the easy laugh, But then you have the opposite. You have the fauda, and you see the Israelis that are all, finding spies and the army and guns, and so you have, and they're Jews,
right.
So.
No, they're tough, and to me, I don't know how do you like that show?
I to be honest, I can't watch that show. And I have friends that are on that show. I have my very good friend.
Really?
I watch TV before I go to bed. That's the only time I watch it.
That is not a good show to watch before you go to bed.
So it's and I have the surround sound, and they're all breaking in and the door slamming, and it's very, very hard. It's a very hard show to watch. So I told him, and he said to me that he himself doesn't watch the show. He gets the script, he reads it, does his scenes. He doesn't, it's funny, but it's a super hard show to watch. But Americans love it. They think this is every Israeli, and they're gonna go and get the spies and get the. I can't say. I need something super light. Disney has a thing on whales now. I've been watching that. It's really nice. If you haven't seen Schitt's Creek, is the best show ever. You can never watch. See that? Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, Rabbi, I'm so jealous of you. You have that is the best show ever. I think it's on Netflix now. It's just it just turns your brain off before you go to bed. It's an amazing show. Schitt's Creek, you'll love it.
That's interesting. That's
what I watch. I can't watch.
What I do like about fodder, just going back to the other point, is that it is showing something proactively positive. I realize there's a lot of negativity in there, and there's violence, and there's But it is Jews standing up for something Jewish, the state of Israel. And I just think that we're living in an age where unfortunately too many Jews who are out there, in my opinion, are just, again, not terribly proud. They don't seem to be very proud. And how can you be proud when you don't know very much? Knowledge is key. If you know about your religion, then you may still disagree with certain things internally, but you'll at least be armed with information and wisdom, so that and whatever, that's kind of one of our I don't want to do a whole commercial for MG here, but that's kind of one of our goals, is to let people decide for themselves how do you want to live your life Jewishly, but do it based on real information. Don't do it just based on a couple of years of Hebrew school, bar bat mitzvah, and then you're graduated from your Judaism, which unfortunately is the trajectory.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to read any of these questions, do you?
I mean, you want to go back to these questions?
No, we don't have to. Just Alan.
Hold on. Let's see. What else we have here? Hold on. Your hair is natural, not a wig. What is your halachic position on men who go bald and wear a toupee? Is it? This is the question. This is the question you chose of all the questions. No, I mean, these are the questions they sent me. I didn't even look at the questions.
I mean, I could see that.
I didn't even look at them because I was just hoping you and I would have a fun banter, and we were doing well until you brought the questions back up.
Okay, well, I'll leave the questions. We'll go back to bantering. That's fine.
Yeah. So if you had one thing to tell your followers, what's the best way to connect to being a better person through Judaism? What would you tell them?
Wow.
Oh, there's your question. Would you rather go back to the toupee joke?
No. Let's stay here.
It's a good one.
It's a really good one. I mean, look, I'm going to give you a very trite answer. There are 613 ways, 248 positive, 365 negative.
Yeah, but a few of those are how to kill a cow. So.
Right.
So let's not even go there. So how would you tell them?
Okay,
you have a guy in Manhattan who doesn't have a shechting knife and a sheep at home. So
well, how is a guy like that supposed to connect? Honestly,
I know he's really got no chance.
So Shabbos. I'll tell you why.
Too much.
No. I'm not telling. I'm not saying the whole thing, man. I'm not saying the whole thing. That's the beauty of Shabbat. The beauty of Shabbat has something for everyone. It's not, and by the way, I'm not an all or nothing rabbi. I don't subscribe to the belief that either you keep the whole Torah or just forget it. Shabbos has, you want to take on lighting candles. You want to sit down and have a meal. You want to come to services Shabbat. You want to take a walk in the afternoon in honor of Shabbat. Shabbat, by the way, sociologically, and I'm sure you know this, it's the one mitzvah in American Jewry that has brought more Jews into Judaism. And it's the one mitzvah when Jews abandon Shabbat that they lose their Judaism. There's something about the Sabbath that is so. I guess I'm mentioning this for practical reasons because Shabbos has been such a hook for so many of my students over the years. Start doing a little. They say mitzvah goreret mitzvah. You do one mitzvah and it encourages you to do something else. So I would always share that. And there's also not just the communal coming out and being connected with your community, but Shabbos just shuts down this. And people are in desperate need for quiet, for meditation, for something that allows them to connect with something beyond themselves. And there's just too much noise. And I think if you can have a little Shabbos in your life, you can have some real spirituality in your life. It's very hard to be spiritual during the week when everything is open and accessible. And by the way, even Sundays, you can go to the mall on Sundays. You can drive yourself crazy just with recreational activities. They don't calm the mind. They don't give us that pause, to be able to really think about life and to be connected with something, as I say, beyond ourselves. So I think Shabbos has got something for everyone, both on the communal level, being connected. And you're invited. I know you're all the way downtown, but anytime you venture uptown, MG's got great Friday night Shabbat services and minyan on Shabbat morning as well. But also on the individual level. I'll tell you one quick story. Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
He was once asked years ago, I watched this interview with Larry King. And Larry asked him, he says, it's such a tense country, Israel, and you're the prime minister of this country. Is there any time during the week when you get to actually just relax? And if you do, how do you do that? And he leaned forward and he said, Larry, because Larry King was Jewish, he says, we have this thing called Shabbat. And on Shabbat, no matter what's going on in the country, I have a son at the time was 15, and we study Tanakh every Shabbat. His son actually was like a contestant for the Chidon HaTanakh, was very smart. And he says, during that 45 minutes, hour that I sit with my son and we study the Bible on Saturdays, he says, there's nothing, I feel relaxed. I feel disconnected from all the issues, and I'm just connected with something greater. I just thought that was very powerful.
It is. It's That's great that you see that everybody has their own Shabbat. Somebody was telling me at a show that it was a show with Jewish singers or something I was doing, and they said to me that their entire Shabbat, they take, they'll sit in their living room and they'll tell Alexa or Siri to play Avram Fried songs. And for a few minutes, he sits there and listens to Avram Fried songs on Shabbat, and that's his Shabbat. And I'm not one to, I can't judge him. I can't judge him. That's his Shabbat. He sits there, he sings the songs out loud, and then he does whatever he does. And it's, I remember when you used to buy, back in the day when there were CDs and tapes, it would always say,
don't play this.
Don't play on Shabbat. I remember, but I guess Siri can play it. I don't know.
Siri has a special rabbinic.
Siri has a heter.
But
that was his Shabbat, and he connects to it, and he says, I look forward to it. I have my coffee. I sit in the living room.
I just feel disconnecting from technology is key on Shabbat, and it's actually made Shabbos easier for me to sell. Because it's like, there are companies that charge lots of money to go on these retreats and seminars where you have to deposit your phone into some black box, and they charge you a lot of money for this great, brilliant advice that we've been dispensing for thousands of years. Just shut. Now, it's hard. I have to say, COVID was very tricky for my chevra, for my constituency. They're 20s and 30s. A lot of them are stuck in their 2x4 apartments in the city. And here I'm trying to inspire them to close down technology. And closing down technology for those few months was basically shutting off their contact with the outside world. It was very, very difficult. And it was one of the first times that we actually had rabbis on the MG staff that were carrying their phones on Shabbos, because we had students who were depressed, who were really down and out. And I told certain people, call me if you're really feeling like this on Shabbos, or someone else that they feel comfortable enough to speak with when they're in that state. And it's difficult because, technology is so powerful, it's so useful, but it carries with it. I'll be perfectly honest. I get sucked into, I'm a lot Facebook, Instagram, and I get very sucked into when I'm looking at my own stuff, and then I see someone else's stuff, and like it's 1, 2 in the morning, and I'm just like, my wife is like turning over. She's like been sleeping for 3 hours already, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I started out on MGE, and I don't know where I am right now.
Yeah,
and it's a rabbit hole.
Thank God I don't have the attention span for it. I
You're
don't.
blessed. You're blessed.
It's a blessing that I don't really. I have my stuff. I have whoever helps me with everything, and that's the blessing of everything, and the production of it. And I don't really care what people are doing. I know it's important to keep an eye on what other people are doing, but I don't dig into it. Thank God. It's a blessing.
Well, the producers, the people who create these apps, and this has all been thought out. This is all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I put this in my book. The University of Michigan conducted a very important study years ago that increased Facebook use can lead is positively correlated with bouts of depression. You spend so much time watching no matter how good you do as a comedian, you'll see someone else. No matter how good as I do as a rap, it's not going to matter. There's going to be someone else who did some other cool post, and like, why didn't I do that? And just
Yeah, so I avoid that completely.
No, you're lucky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to train my kids. I was away with my kids winter vacation, and my daughter wanted to post something on her Instagram, and I said, you know what, we're blessed. We went to Florida, took out a boat for the day. It was great, so much fun. And I said, you know what, I'm just, sweetheart, don't. She's 16. I was like, don't post it. You're gonna have one friend whose family couldn't get to Florida, or they're in Florida but they couldn't take out a boat. I don't know. Someone did me a favor, gave me the boat for the day. It was very kind, and she's going to be like, it's just not worth it, and because for kids it has a whole other meaning to it.
Yeah,
Very
I
tricky.
can't even imagine having kids with that right now. It's just the whole. Well, I mean, COVID in general basically let people know that we've all had way too many children. When you're stuck at home with them, it was like we definitely had one too many. We could have done without this one and the Zoom school.
What do you, right? And it's just too late at that point, you're saying.
At that point, it's too late, and you have to deal with them. Yeah, and all the stuff that they have to. It's insane. I can't even imagine. I mean, if I can't imagine being that age and having all that available on my phone, I wouldn't be in the classroom. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what I would do. It would just. And the parents don't even know what the kids are doing. They have no idea what TikTok is. They have no idea what they know Facebook, they know Instagram, but then there's so many other
Layers, yeah.
layers later on that the parents don't even know about. The TikTok accounts and what they're doing on that is just wow. You better make sure you've had a conversation with your kids because that's just crazy.
Yeah, parents. I mean. 100%. You're going to have to invade the privacy of your own children if you actually care about what they are exposed to at a very young age. There's no way around it. You can have all the conversations you want with your children, but one thing leads to the next, positively and negatively, and you just start with one thing, and all of a sudden your kids are exposed to, and you can't get those images out. It's not so simple.
No,
it's not so simple. I don't. I'm not a big believer in democracy when it comes to raising kids. And I mean, being a little of a big talker, I'm a mushball with my kids, but my wife is a little more the disciplinarian. But you have to, or else you're allowing your kids to be exposed to it's not cool. Yeah.
Anyway, let's end on something positive.
Yes, shall we? Is there one other question here that speaks to you?
What are the questions? Oh, I'm going back to those amazing questions.
I mean, I didn't write these questions. I'm following a script. Like I listen to orders.
Let's see. Has it been without a community COVID?
He even made jokes for you, our friend.
I know.
He wrote jokes for you. They were pretty good.
He's so sweet. He's such a sweet guy. I don't know what, but yeah, I don't really have any gone bad.
I thought
no, your marriage. I'm telling you, during Corona, people really with the matchmaking was insane. A month in, I get a phone call from the Syrian community. Some guy says our kids aren't, they date and get married really early, like 18, 20, 21. They're not playing around in the Syrian community, and they made this app called Date SY. And this guy asked me to do an ad for it, and they were when there was a real lockdown, nobody was going out. It got the kids on FaceTime to each other, just they can start their dating and and then meet and marriages came out of it.
Great, that's awesome.
It was amazing how the Jewish world just pivoted. We figured out a way to
love that.
I love that. It was just I guess the marriage is a big thing by you guys.
Marriage is huge.
Marriages, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's definitely a good thing.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I was encouraging people a lot of people were reticent, like how long can you Zoom for on a date? But the truth is the Zoom dating could start something, I said, and then when the numbers go down and you can see each other in person, then you'll do that. But don't just let the time go. There were too many people just like saying, well, I can't do anything. I love that. I never heard of that Syrian idea. That's great.
Yeah, there's a million different things that people did to keep the dating going. They weren't, and then obviously, as you know, the Orthodox Jewish community went into phase 200 right away, and they the marriages were going, and they didn't give a damn, and so it was fun. It was a good thing. I can't believe it's been a year. I really can't believe it's been
14 months, man. 14 months since this crazy thing started.
And it's leaving as fast as it came.
Yeah, it's going now.
It's amazing.
You find in New York also, because I know Florida's on a different trajectory. COVID's over in Florida, but in New York, you find also just in terms of your own performances that things are coming back to normal.
Yeah, like tonight I have a private event in a restaurant for this big guy, and
can you tell us what time and where?
No, and I'm still doing that on Thursday, that show on Rush Chicks at 9 p.m. New York time.
Eastern, we call it Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time, yeah. And so, but I'm at Stand Up New York. I'm at the Comedy Cellar. The people are so excited to be there. The comics are so excited to be there. There's like another energy. It's almost like it was a reset of appreciation. You used to just go to the Comedy Cellar, do a spot. Now you have this different appreciation for it.
100%.
And so that's what's
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. We have it at the Minyan, thank God, on Shabbos. I saw last Shabbat for the first time. The numbers really started going up for the first time Friday night and Shabbat day. So I hope we should just go mechayel chayel, as they say, from strength to strength. And Modi, you should continue to make people happy. You should earn your share in the world to come. I'll reference that. And just by, the world needs a lot of joy and love and happiness. So just keep making people smile and keep being the proud Jew you are. That's very, very, it's important to me. It's important to a lot of people. We don't always see that out there. Thank you.
It's important to me. Great talking to you, Rabbi. All the best.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.